Learning Disabilities by Nathan Plaza and Ross Voga. What are learning disabilities? Learning disabilities, or SLDs, known as specific learning disabilities, are defined as a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language, spoken or written, which disorder may manifest itself in the imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or do mathematical calculations.
The causes of SLDs. SLDs can be hereditary and passed on through genetic transfer, so you could attain it from your parents. It also comes from complications during birth or unhealthy behaviors from the mother's part during birth, like smoking, drinking, uh, illness, malnutrition on her part, and risk factors introduced during the child's early development stages. This could also include malnutrition or ingested environmental toxins that could come from cigarettes, alcohol, or lead paint. This is more common for students who live in poverty, considering that a higher amount of students with SLDs do come from an underprivileged background. Teacher biases that occur towards students with SLDs is a resistance to rewarding students with special needs for their hard work. Teachers sometimes feel that these students shouldn't be considered for honor rolls if they feel that they don't deserve it. They would assume that these students were very capable of themselves and aren't actually suffering in class if they were to achieve the honor roll, and they don't want it to tarnish their honor roll system. Another means of this, of teacher bias, is that some teachers kind of withhold accommodations for students with SLDs. Sometimes they feel that the student's appearance might suffer, and they feel that it could be a risk for bullying, when it's actually more beneficial to them if they do get accommodations, but their perception of wanting the student with SLD to be seen as quote-unquote normal causes them to try to integrate them with the rest of the class when the student clearly needs some kind of other option in terms of learning.
Effects to the students with SLDs. A lot of times when the students with SLDs are tested, they underperform in most subjects, as opposed to the non-SLD students. If we take a look at the graph, we can see that in the students' general population, we have only 2% below average, or very below average, 48% is below average, and then 50 is above average. So it's basically 50-50 on the average scale. But if we go down to the students with LD, we notice that in the different areas, it's mostly below average. We have 20% above average, and the highest one is 26, but for the most part, we're seeing in the 80% to 90% going on with the below average there.
Some solutions as to how to kind of assist these students with SLDs and integrate them more to the classroom and be able to work them towards success and helping them stay on pace as much as all the other students. Revising your teaching strategies to accommodate all students. So if this means having to explain things in a way that everyone can understand, like, helping if a student has dyslexia in a class, often giving them maybe someone to help them read, bringing in an assistant to help go over reading assignments with them, or maybe even assigning audiobooks if that seems manageable to the student. Rewarding students with SLDs for their accomplishments. So not acknowledging when a student is doing hard work, whether major or minor, is very harmful to the student. The student will improve more based on their morale, and higher morale will give the student the confidence boost they need to continue with the class. Most students with SLDs will find themselves as inferior to other students in their class, and they often find themselves to be the blame for stuff they can't understand, when really it's not something that they can't control. So awarding students and giving them positive feedback for what they're doing right, instead of just pointing out what they're doing wrong, could really go a long way. And these are the sources we use. Okay. So for this portion of the video, Ross and I put together a little song to bring a little more light to specific learning disabilities.
Here we go.
Learning disabilities, known as SLDs, make reading, writing, and doing math severe difficulties. They can get it from their parents or their environment. It shouldn't be seen as laziness, it's real and permanent. We have many common types of SLDs to find. Students with dysgraphia can find it hard to write. But one thing is for certain, and we should keep in mind, students with SLDs might need to take a bit more time. Something we can do together is to help them try and spend a bit more time with SLDs on our minds. Carefully plan your lesson so all students can learn. Even if it means more training, it really can't hurt. If you're curious about what SLD stands for, I'll tell you that right now and maybe share a little more. Specific learning disabilities hinders the mind from comprehending processes that seem fine to you and I. Those parents and teachers link SLDs wrong. 7 out of 10 assume they have autism. This is where they're wrong, you see, they're just like you and me. But comprehension of school subjects is their disability. But one thing is for certain, and we should keep in mind, students with SLDs might need to take a bit more time. Something we can do together is to help them try and spend a bit more time with SLDs on our minds.